Alright guys, so whenever we posted back last year, we started doing our scrap leather video vlogs. Those are still pretty fun. I still have a bunch of them I need to post. I've just been kind of editing on them and stuff, but I've been trying to get more important content out to you guys whenever I do have time to edit. So there's some more of those coming for those of you that like them. Those of you that were mad because they weren't anything about using scrap leather, this one's about using scrap leather. I got a lot of grief on that. A lot of people clicked on it thinking it was showing you how to use all your scrap leather and stuff like that. And which is a great video topic, so we're gonna go ahead and do that now. We'll start doing a few of those. There's so much you can use scrap leather for, but honestly, you can use it for anything. So, but in this one, we're gonna use up some scrap Latigo, and so I'm gonna show you how to efficiently cut this stuff up into lace. So pieces like this, you could line something with them if you've got a little bag or something. A lot of times I'll use these for those doctoring bags or medicine bags, stuff like that for guys. But I don't make a lot of those and don't like making a lot of those, so I end up with a lot of scrap Latigo. And no matter the thickness on this stuff or whatever, if you've got a band knife, it's definitely easy, but none of us have band knives, or the majority of us don't. And so, as far as for thinning it down, if you do have a band knife, thin all this down to the thickness that you want it before you listen to the rest of this video, and it'll save you a lot of time. The rest of us, we're just going to use a hand skiver. And like I said, I've got a Hansen tool for repairing my lace and stuff like that. So, but I'm going to show you how to take this and turn it into lace the most efficient way that I've found, and save you a little bit of time from having to cut your lace to certain sizes. So let's get to that. All right, so obviously you've probably got a box in your shop, and you've got, just a bunch of pieces like this, just oblong little pieces. Most of it's probably going to be the belly or the neck, something that you're not using a lot of. Probably with Latigo, it's going to be the majority of the belly. Just because you're saving that length usually. But what I like to do before I start stripping it up in anything is, if I've got any big pieces, I like long lace. When I'm using little pieces of lace, I keep a tub underneath my bench, and I just keep it full of any drop-off lace that may come off tying a Latigo on or something like that. But I prefer, when I'm tying on Latigos or billets or anything like that onto a saddle, I want them long as I can get them. That's pretty close there, and it's about 18 inches long. That's what I like to use, so that I've got plenty of lace. But even these little shorter ones, a lot of times I'll save those too, because when guys come into your shop, there's cowboys or anybody rodeoing or anything, they're usually like, hey, do you got any little bit of lace I need to tie a bit on a headstall or whatever? You can give them the short ones, because they don't know any different, and they'll use those, and they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just too short to tie an entire billet on with. So I keep all those in a tub, but every once in a while I won't have some, and I'll have to cut some up. And instead of just straight edging a side of brand new Latigo and then cutting you a long strip of 3/8 or 1/4 inch or whatever you're using, and you're getting that prime piece of that hide off of there, and you could use that better somewhere else, go through your scrap bin and you can certainly cut these up really quickly. So what I'll do is, like I said, I like to stay around 16 to 18 inches on all my lace, because it'll work for anything. And so what I'll do is I'll just kind of look at it like that piece is right at 18 inches right there. And so I'll just take and I'll cut this end off, because that right there is just kind of going to be a little junky. And then that right there is in the butt, so I'm going to keep that piece right there. This one's kind of the same way. You can see I've already got a straight edge. Usually you'll have a straight edge portion. If you don't, make one, but make it along the longest side, and that way you can get that length. So that's 17 inches or so, and this piece right here is a little bit junky, so I'm going to cut that off. And then that right there, and then this one, kind of the same deal. It's plenty long, but I don't really have a straight edge there. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll go ahead and straight edge this now, and that way I've got something to work with. And so we'll go ahead and cut this straight. And it's lace, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but it is a good chance for you to practice straight edging, some little scraps or whatever, so try to do a good job. Cut that off. So that right there is basically trash or lining something really small. Now we've got 3 pieces here that are basically all at least 16 inches long. So now we can go ahead and we can just strip all this up. And I don't even think they make these anymore, but I've had this one for years, and Tandy used to sell them, and they were just a solid block, and then they had this side. And the guy I learned to build saddles from, he showed me a trick and put this dowel in there so you've got a little handle to pull as you're pulling that lace. And then he also came in, I don't know if you can see that there, but he kind of filed some of that off or sanded that off. And that's so you've got a little bit of room there where you can kind of adjust if you need to. And so that's the lace cutter I use. Now you can certainly cut your lace with an Australian strainer if you like using those. I always keep one of these around. They're cheap, and in a pinch they work really good. And so I always keep one of those. They're a little tricky to get used to, and they're not perfect. So if you're going to cut a lot of lace, I don't recommend them. But if you're cutting a lot of like kangaroo and stuff, or even just a thinner chap leather that's got some firmness to it, these work really good. But like I said, stuff like this, it's a little bit small, so I try to just keep that for specialty stuff. And then this one here, she's about wore out, so I'm hoping I can find another one. If anybody knows where these are available at, I would like to get another one. And I've got a buddy of mine that's a hat maker here locally that would love to have a few of these as well, because they use them for trimming brims on hats if they're trimming a brim down or something like that. And but these are really great. All they do is take the same injector blades that I use in my little knife, and so they're really handy. But like I said, now this is already straight edged. Now you can come along here and set your gauge, and you can just strip it up. And it may seem, and once I get kind of down where I got a piece, this one's pretty flanky right here on the end. So now that's going to be pretty short. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that. And then this one here is pretty long, or pretty firm and nice. So I'm going to go ahead and strip it. And you can see how fast that goes. And all your lace is already cut the right length. This may seem kind of simple and like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Or, you know, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a lot easier doing it this way and going through scraps, and that way all my lace is already the length I need it. Versus, you know, if you've got a long piece of a belly, straight edging that whole belly and then stripping up the whole thing, and then you've got to lay those long pieces back down and measure them out, or at least kind of eyeball them and cut them all to length. This way, if you'll cut your scraps into whatever length you want the finished lace, then you can just strip it real fast, and it's already the length you want. So that's what I'd do to all of that, and I would go ahead and, you know, I'd take an hour, you know, once a month or something, and just cut up as many pieces as I think I need. I don't need a saddle box full of lace anymore, and so what I do is just cut up till I've got a couple handfuls, and then I put them in this bucket if I don't have enough in there. Usually I've got plenty, so I don't cut a lot anymore, but that's something we used to have the guys do when they were slow or needed something to do or whatever. They can go cut some lace and we'd be good to go. So now we'll just take and get this lace ready, and I'll show you how I do that right quick. Alright, so I'm not going to do all this lace just because no reason for y'all to watch me do a big old pile of lace. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to get a new blade in here. We're going to put a new injector blade in here, and that way it's a nice fresh blade. There's no telling what I've been skiving all day with that. And so we're just going to try to be real clean. One recommendation, when you are changing these blades out, try to use an awl or something where you can pull it out, and watch them when you take them out, because they can fly out of there, and I've had them hit me in the face before and luckily missed my eye. But just be careful with them, because they do kind of spring out of there. But then I'm just going to take, all I'm basically doing when I make lace is I'm just taking that finished flesh side off. So you can see right there, I'm not taking, you know, that's the finished flesh. Okay, that's how the hide came to me. This was a 4/6 ounce Latigo. And so that's the grain there, and then that's the flesh side. And so as you can see there, I just basically took one layer, or basically just the finished flesh. So I'm not taking very much off. And the reason you want to kind of be careful is because you can take too much off and then make your lace too weak. And so we want to leave some of the flesh on there because that's where the strength is. There's not a lot of strength in that grain. It's the fibers that keep everything together. And so I just try to take that off, and I try to do it as smoothly as possible. You don't want you know, kind of like a canoe in there. You don't want it deeper in the middle and higher on the outsides. You want to try to level that off. And again, if you've got a bench skiver, this is way easier to do. I don't have a bench skiver currently. I had one years ago and it broke, and I've just kind of been without one, so I've just been using my little safety skiver, and it seems to work. But I'm kind of lazy when it comes to buying tools, but they are definitely worth their money, and they're a good deal to have, because you can put that in there and just pull that thing through there and thin it down, level it down where you need it, and then you'll be ready to go. We'll go over to the Hansen tool that I have, and we'll go ahead and pare these edges and get those ready for lace. And I would be doing this to the entire pile of lace. I would just come over here and I would skive all of them down, and so you can see why I don't do as much as I used to if I don't need them, because I could be there all day doing that out of scraps. All right, so we're here at the Hansen edger here, and I'm going to set this up. I've usually got it set for 3/8. That's mainly the lace size that I use, but we're going to go ahead and pull this through there. And again, you can do all of this with a safety skiver, and I'll show you how to do that on the next one. But there it is right there. It's just taking a bevel, you know, it's just beveling that edge right there. But the thing you want to be careful with if you're using one of these is just be sure you're not narrowing your lace, because we want to try to keep our lace uniform. So if you've got braiding experience, you know how to use one of these. But that would be it right there. That's paired well enough for now. And then I'll show you how to do it with a safety skiver on the other one. So this is the one that we beveled over on the Hansen machine. So what I'm going to do now is, now I've got a little hump in the middle. I'm just going to take just a little bit more off, just so that it's not so thick. But not taking so much off right at first makes it a lot easier to pare those edges and to get them nice. And then you can just kind of touch this up just a little bit. You got a nice sharp blade in your safety skiver, you can just touch that up. Just take a little bit more off until it feels like it'd be nice to tie with. You know, tying, whether you're tying a headstall or tying your billets on, or whatever you're tying. And that's about right there. Now, if you don't have a beveling machine, or like that Hansen machine or something like that, you can do it with a safety skiver. Again, just be sure that your laces or your deal is sharp. And as you can see, you can kind of hold it up and kind of go along there. Now there are guys that can do it with a knife in the bench, and you shove the tip of your knife down into the bench and do that. I am not very good at that. That's why I'm not showing you that in this video. I've seen it done. I know guys that can do it, and I'm not that handy, so I'm not able to show you that. But if you're ever in a shop with a gentleman that can do that, have him show you, if you will, because it's something cool to see. And it's definitely a trick that I need to work on mastering, because it's kind of one of them old skill trades that's really it's really good to have. But you can certainly do it with this as well, and you can actually get a really nice bevel with one of these, albeit it's not extremely traditional. Well, maybe it is, I don't know. This safety skiver has been around as long as I can remember. When you do that, you take a lot more meat out of the middle, which is actually, you know, a little better depending on what you're trying to do with it. But like I said, you want to leave enough of the grain, or enough of the, you want to leave enough of the flesh in the middle there so it's strong. If you just took all that flesh off, you could break that easily, because there's not a lot of strength in that grain. There's a lot of strength when you put the flesh and the grain together. So try to leave you know, as much as you're comfortable with there in the middle of the lace. The edges can be nice and thin and pretty, but the middle needs to have some meat in there. All right, guys, so that's how I make lace. Like I said, now you can just leave them like that if you want, and point them whenever you get, you know, cutting your ends and making them pointed. You could do that whenever you pull one out and need to use it. just in case you want to cut it in half and use a thinner one or something like that. But that's something you can do really easily with a lot of your scrap Latigo, is just kind of cut those up into lace, and you know, you can only have so much of that laying around to line, you know, back girts or breast collars with and stuff like that. So be sure and save you some back and make some lace with it, because that lace always comes in handy. If you're noticing, whenever I'm skiving, I'm always using a marble. That you can certainly do it on glass. If you've got some safety glass, you'll see a lot of guys skive on safety glass. If you've got a nice smooth piece of granite, like what would be on a countertop or something like that, where the blade's not going to chip down into that granite, that makes a really good skiving surface. You can get a really nice close edge to that. So I appreciate you guys. Be sure and subscribe to the channel. We got more videos coming up. I've got some more project videos that we're working on. So summer's coming. We're going to hopefully get a lot more stuff out of here, content wise for y'all. If you've got any ideas for future episodes or future content you want me to create, or a project or something like that, keep those coming. I am getting them. If you have sent me something, I do have it. I can't promise you when I'll make the video or whatever, but I'm storing all that stuff and just trying to plan them out in between our workload and different things that we got going in the shop. So bear with me. Hopefully we'll get yours done. If you've sent me some type of project that you'd like to see me do, or some video that you'd like to see me do to answer some questions, we do read those and we do keep them. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great week.